We need to do an emergency podcast for what is going on. Just since the week's shows, all hell is broken loose. This is not a drill. And I have to be frank with you, my assessment of the Trump Epstein situation went from maybe there's something bad to there's probably something bad to if Trump is doing all of this, if Trump is bringing down his presidency in a fight against transparency, there must be something so bad, so truly horrendous, that he believes all of what I'm about to show you is less bad than what's in the files. He must believe it would just destroy his presidency. What am I talking about? Well, we have leaked texts. We have Marjorie Greene and Trump going to war. Not the previous stuff you've heard about. Like, real deal this time. He's calling her Marjorie Taylor Brown. And I'll explain that to you in a second. But just to kind of lay the groundwork, we have so much, stick around, so much to go through in this segment. Again, this is a little urgent breaking news update on everything. And this being even worse than I thought initially. I said to all those who sold their soul for relevance, this thing I wrote on X, Lindsey Graham, Scott Jennings, JD Vance, etc., I hope you're happy with yourself. The anal cavity you've climbed up into belongs to a man whose presidency is collapsing over Epstein. He would rather suffer a public mental breakdown, you're about to see, attack his allies, and destroy his approval rating than let the truth come out. The Titanic is sinking. The lifeboats are full. You have only yourself to blame. I feel like at some point, you know how I always say, welcome. If you're disillusioned with him now, welcome. At some point, all the lifeboats are going to be full. And you're just going to have to go for a swim, metaphorically. Because once it's completely destroyed, his presidency, are we really going to go, well, great job not liking him anymore? It's a little late, but what sparked this latest yesterday and today chaos was Trump sending out this. And then I'm going to show you in one of the only times he's let reporters ask him questions recently, and it didn't go well. But he wrote, I'm withdrawing my support and endorsement of Congresswoman Marjorie Greene of the great state of Georgia. Over the past few weeks, remember Marjorie Greene, for all of her catastrophic issues, has been consistent on wanting the Epstein files released. That's what this is about. Despite my creating record achievements for our country, including etc., etc., etc. I stopped 100 wars. You didn't even know they were happening, but they were all happening. I stopped them all, etc. Hottest country ever. Wacky Marjorie, all she does is complain, complain, complain. It seemed to all begin when I sent her a poll stating that she should not run for senator or governor. She was at 12% and didn't have a chance. Unless, of course, she had my endorsement, which she wasn't about to get. She has also told many people that she's upset that I don't return her phone calls anymore. But with 219 congressmen and women, 53 U.S. senators, 24 cabinet members, almost 200 countries, and an otherwise normal life to lead, I can't take a ranting lunatic's call every day. This is about Marjorie Greene, like his biggest ally in the past. I understand that wonderful conservative people are thinking about primarying Marjorie in her district of Georgia, that they too are fed up with her and her antics, or annex as she would put it, and if the right person runs, they will have my complete and unyielding support. She has gone far left. Okay. Even doing the view. This is my point about why I don't take you're a communist or you're a far left, or whenever Democrats get called that, very seriously, because there are real communists and I'm very opposed to them. There are real radical left socialists and I'm opposed to them. But Trump is now going to call Marjorie Taylor Greene that. So I think that those phrases have lost their weight. With their low IQ Republican hating acres, thank you for your attention to this matter, make America great again. She then goes, oh, so this is what we're doing? This is how we're playing? He's willing to destroy his MAGA base. I'm going to show you what some of his commenters, who normally hype him up in his comments, are saying about him. But he's really willing to fracture the MAGA base, send his approval rating into the dumps. What does that mean if he's willing to do all of that instead of just being transparent? I think it's worse than even I ever imagined, truly. And I'm not referencing the Bubba, blowing Bubba. We will get to that, but I'm not referencing that. And he must think it would really just end his legacy, his presidency. That's not me trying to be hyperbolic. Y'all know, if you've watched the show for a while, I've always been very cautious in how I speak about it, especially this issue. But it has to be. While we look at her response, the text that she revealed, please do, if you appreciate the show and these breaking news updates, click the subscribe button. Free, but it helps get the word out about the show. President Trump, Marjorie Greene writes, just attacked me and lied about me. I think that's the first time she's ever said Trump lied about anything. He's lied tens of thousands of times on the record as president. He lied us into a Democratic near collapse. She never called that out. But now it's about her, and so she will call it out. I haven't called him at all in response to she's calling me all the time. But I did send these text messages today. Apparently, this is what sent him over the edge. Let's look at the texts. So this is to DJT. She wrote, check the flight logs of Epstein's plane. Bill Clinton's on there like 26 times. Hillary too. So you could see that she's trying to goad him into supporting this by saying it's really bad for them. To which he's thinking, yeah, and 10 times worse for me. For many of us, releasing the Epstein files has always been for the women who were victims of Jeffrey Epstein, but also because we believe that Democrat bad guys like the Clintons were entangled and involved with him. Epstein was the spider that wove the web of the deep state. Lean into it. She's talking to him like a baby, like a little child. You know the bad guys? You could hurt the bad guys. The deep state. Oh, we hate the deep state. The swamp. This is how you drain the swamp. He is the swamp, Marjorie. He is the swamp. If there ever were a swamp creature, a deep state elite, it's Trump, Marge. But at least she's on the right side of this. It was a little telling that she texted him, I've wanted to do this for, the women. Yeah, the victims. But also because I thought it would hurt Democrats. You should want anyone of any political label to be exposed if they did anything wrong. So then in all caps, now she's texting one of his aides, I guess, named Natalie. So didn't get in contact with his personal number, but then she also tried to text someone who could convey a message to him. And Natalie just responded, maybe dictating what Trump said in all caps, the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. To which Marjorie responded, in every single interview I have done, I have defended President Trump. I've said over and over, the women say he did nothing wrong, and their attorney says he's the only one who helped. And the Democrats had 4 years to release the files, but did nothing. Stop ignoring the women. Many of them literally voted for President Trump and say so publicly. Them being raped as teenagers is not a hoax. So that also, I guess, went unresponded to, except for all caps, the Jeffrey Epstein hoax, which is deranged. And that's what she posted in response. Number one, some defenders of Trump said stuff like, did Marjorie Greene just share private text messages from the effing president of the United States without permission? The F. The Misfit Patriot is the title of this guy. Is that your takeaway? Hey, you leaked his private text. It actually was mostly just her texts, but okay. Yeah, there was one response that I do think came from Trump, even though it was texted by someone named Natalie. But that's your takeaway. Wow. Okay. What about his privacy? So then he leans in even harder. Marjorie Trader Greene, and he leaves the E off her name, is a disgrace to our great Republican Party. Then, lightweight Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Brown, green grass turns brown when it begins to rot. He's lost it. He's lost his mind. He knows it's not just bad. Presidency ending. Must, right? If you look, we're going to look at examples, but even his biggest fans on True Social are like, no, don't do this. Because they know who else has been more MAGA than Marjorie? Much to my chagrin. Who else has been more MAGA than Marjorie? Nobody. And so if even she's going, what the heck's happening with Trump? Then for him to go this nuclear, I think maybe wakes up some of those MAGA folks. And then say what you will. And you're hearing what I'm saying about Trump. Truly horrible. Horrible president. Horrible human being. He's usually all right with the nicknames. Right? Slopodopoulos. Ron DeSanctimonious. Right? Even Sleepy Joe did a number. Crooked Hillary. Slopodopoulos is the best. But he's now so emotionally wrecked that his best nickname for her is Marjorie Taylor Brown. Marjorie Taylor Brown, because green grass. Grass. You know his grass rant? Have you heard his grass rant? It has a life. I know a lot about grass. It has a life like a person, and it can die. Because grass dies and it turns brown. So she's Marjorie Taylor Brown. And then his other nickname for her that's better, Marjorie Trader Greene, is what liberals have already called her. So he stole that one. Anyway, he said, portrayed the entire Republican Party when she turned left, performed poorly on The Pathetic View, and became the rhino that we all know she always was. Republican in name only. Just another fake politician. No different than Rand Paul Jr., Thomas Massey, who got caught being a full-fledged Republican in name only. Rhino, make America great again. It's so unhinged. If you'll take that down, Jaden. I think I have then more from Marjorie saying that he's causing her to get a bunch of threats. She says, I'm now being contacted by private security firms with warnings for my safety as a hotbed of threats against me are being fueled and egged on by the most powerful man in the world, the man I supported and helped get elected. Aggressive rhetoric attacking me has historically led to death threats and multiple convictions of men who are radicalized by the same type of rhetoric being directed at me right now. This time by the President of the United States. Now, threats are horrible, and hopefully she has all the security she needs. And many people have pointed out she didn't have a problem when Trump was causing election workers to get a bunch of threats. She didn't have a problem when he pardoned a bunch of people who attacked police officers to stop a free and fair election. She didn't have a problem when Democrats were facing these threats because of his rhetoric against them. And so I'm glad she has a problem with it now, but it is because it's impacting her directly. It has to be noted that she's correct on Epstein. She is correct. And I'm glad that their clash is exposing that a little bit more. And not erase how the very unhinged behavior that we all warned would come through in his presidency, she lied to defend for years. So that is an important stipulation. She then says, as a woman, I take threats from men seriously. I think any threats are significant of any gender, but yes, okay. I now have a small understanding of the fear and pressure the women who are victims of Jeffrey Epstein and his cabal must feel. As a Republican who overwhelmingly votes for President Trump's bills and agenda, his aggression against me, which also fuels the venomous nature of his radical internet trolls, many of whom are paid, this is completely shocking to everyone. My phone is blowing up with constant amazing support. I'm so thankful. The political industrial complex and the toxic, violent nature of American politics must end. Our country is worth saving, and it can only be done if we pull together and save ourselves. I hope y'all understand how I just have a hard time reading this without continuing to clarify what I just did. But I also want to root on that she's fighting against Trump on this. Both have to happen at the same time. So good. Call him out. Good. And how do you think we got to a toxic, violent nature of American politics? You have said some of the most frighteningly violence-justifying things imaginable. You remember we can't allow the peaceful... Okay, I'm not going to go there today. We can't allow the peaceful transfer of power like Joe Biden wants. You remember that? Hopefully she is getting disillusioned with Trump. This is obviously a cynical political play, but she's doing the right thing. And maybe we'll go back and reanalyze some of her past views and justification for what Trump was doing. Then she says, good morning. This is going to be a long segment, guys. Keep your seatbelts on. It only gets crazier. Good morning. I want to thank everyone who texted and posted and commented supporting me. You're also kind and appreciate love for what you do. I never thought that fighting to release the Epstein files, defending women who were victims of rape, and fighting to expose the web of rich, powerful elites would have caused this, but here we are, and it truly speaks for itself. There needs to be a new way forward. Yeah. Okay. So she's talking about how divided we've got. Okay. She's like, we have to unite. Okay. All right. Hey. Yeah. I agree. What were you up to the last few years? What were you up to? I was up to something very specific that I do think was in the interest of unity. What were you up to? The ratio. Okay, so then a Republican Congressman, Troy Nehls, said, I'll be voting no on the Epstein hoax. So he's defensive of Trump. And Marjorie says the ratio on this post should serve as the ultimate warning to all my Republican colleagues. You vote no on Tuesday, so I guess the vote's happening on Tuesday for the files in the House, to release the Epstein files and face severe outrage from America. Republicans don't have support from women, and this right here is a perfect example of why. That is a good point. We've talked so much about Democrats lost ground with young men. Should we be more like Andrew Tate to win back over to young men? Do we have to go shirtless and talk about how having sex with girls is gay? Like, do we have to do that we had that whole conversation, it's a whole headline. There's not as much discussion as there should be about how Republicans have lost a ton of ground with women. And maybe it is stuff like this, in addition to other things. Wow, she's not kidding. The ratio was 3,000 likes on his post to 11,000 comments. Oof. Now, Trump once said this at a rally, kind of interesting.
And somebody that I just think is fantastic. This one, I never, ever want to have her as my enemy. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Where is she? She is so unbelievable.
Guess what? She's your enemy now. It's funny. He said in his post, we always knew she was a fake. We always knew she was a rhino. Really? Because you kept saying she was the best. Then, one of the only chances reporters have had to talk to him, because he'll scurry away from almost any event to avoid questions about this, was on Air Force One. Let's see how some of that went.
Mansion and cinema, they would have done it the best.
Would you be open to endorsing someone primarying Marjorie Taylor Greene given her latest statements?
Well, it depends on who runs against her. I mean, I'm no longer much of a fan because I disagree with her policy. When she said that, going to foreign countries, bringing back trillions of dollars.
Okay, we don't need to hear that whole rant again. Then you have this. These are on Marjorie.
That would be happening. And by the way, I stay home 98% of the time. The last thing I want to do is travel 22 hours in an airplane, as nice as this plane is. So, Marjorie Taylor Greene is not anyway. I mean, she is a very different thinking than I have. Something happened to her over the last period of a month or two where she changed, I think, politically. I think that her constituents aren't going to be happy. Already, I have people calling me. They want to challenge her.
Okay, so he's given her the Thomas Massey treatment, Marjorie Taylor Brown, then this.
Very weak Republicans.
I was just wondering if you have a timeline for when you might release more of those files.
Which ones?
Democrats to Epstein.
Which files, he says. Which files? I'm dealing with a lot of files. Which ones are we talking about? Oh, Epstein? Who's that?
Well, I don't know about those ones. I know nothing about it, but I understand they released like 40 or 50,000 pages already. And nobody. I will say this: if they had anything, they would have used it before the election. Okay? I can't tell you what they put in since the election, but if they had anything, you don't think they would have used it before the election?
Guys, did you hear what he just said? He's been briefed. We have a bunch of reports by Pam Bondi about what's in there and what's in there about him, and that's what sparked the series of events. He then says, I don't know what they've put in there since the election. So he's running with a theory that again, this emphasizes it must be so much worse than even we thought for him to be laying the groundwork for, if these do ultimately get released, it's probably fake stuff the Democrats put in about me. And he knows what's in there. So that's not just a random speculative claim. He's been briefed on what's in there. So he's preparing all of us to go, oh, maybe that stuff's fake. He then was attacking Thomas Massey. This is the president just unraveling in front of us. To the point where I've seen a lot of conservative commentators. Some of them are just embarrassing themselves, trying to bend themselves into a pretzel. Some of them are going, I don't know what I thought Trump was, but this is scary what's happening to him. Maybe it's a mental issue, a cognitive issue,
brain.
or maybe he is worse than I ever thought. But now he's going after Thomas Massie because Thomas Massie's the other Republican who supports transparency. And he said, because Massie just got married after his wife died, so Trump's attacking him for having a future relationship after the tragic death of his wife. That's what this post is about. That's how low Trump's going. Watch. Did Thomas Massie, sometimes referred to as Rand Paul Jr. because of the fact that he always votes against the Republican Party, get married already? Boy, that was quick. No wonder the polls have him at less than an 8% chance of winning the election. Anyway, have a great life, Thomas and ? His wife will soon find out that she's stuck with a loser. Tommy said, this is sick stuff. Massie's wife died last year. They've been together for 35 years and have 4 kids. Trump's mocking Massie's loss, and the vicious little poops who work for him are amplifying it, all to cover up Trump's connections with Jeffrey Epstein. That's how low he's going. Now, Trump then, at one point, says, okay, fine. Let's go ahead and launch an investigation into Epstein. We won't get the files, which we're not asking for an investigation. Maybe that will be justified if we know what's in there. But he says, well, we'll do an investigation into any Democrats who had connections to Epstein. Now that the Democrats, he writes, are using the Epstein hoax involving Democrats, not Republicans, to try and deflect from their disastrous shutdown and all their other failures, I will be asking AG Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots of the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman. I saw Reid Hoffman posted, release all the files in response. JP Morgan, Chase, and Wells Fargo, and American Express, and many other people, not really, those last two not, and many other people and institutions to determine what was going on with them and him. This is another Russia scam with all arrows pointing to the Democrats. Records show that these men and many others spent large portions of their life with Epstein and on his island. Stay tuned. So his response to realizing, this isn't going away, is to burn the bridge very publicly with Marjorie Greene, and then to call for an investigation, not into whatever's there, not to call for the release, but to investigate Democrats specifically. Which, of course, any Democrat right now can unequivocally say complete transparency. So if there's any Democrats who are implicated in some way, or who, if we learned more through the files about the depth of the relationship, we would question what they were doing, we still want that release. But Trump's even, it's so weird. I know this sounds a little bit silly, but I mean it. I think a part of this does have to do with his decline, because who admits that publicly? Like, they're talking about me. Investigate the Democrats. Specifically saying, I just want people I don't like and not me to be investigated. Even when his name in the latest tranche of emails was the most prominently name to come up. The Democrats are doing, he also wrote everything in their power. Okay, it's just more ranting about how the Epstein file shouldn't come out. And look at some of the responses from people who, many of them are pro-Trump. To summarize, a bunch of them are saying, release the files. And when I was scrolling through some of them, it was like, nah, I'm not with you on this one, Mr. President. Let's go to one of the ones about Marjorie Greene. Let's see here. Wow, some of them are defending. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, these ones are with him. What are y'all doing, MAGA? Oh my gosh, I thought I saw this person saying, no, she's right. Strongly disagree with you on this one. Stop the BS. President Trump, please stop the infighting. False. Mr. President, you need to chill out. Okay, so some of them are like, yeah, F MTG after loving her forever. That's kind of concerning. Is there some of them clearly there's literally anything they could find out about Trump and that he could do, and they'll still defend him. Then watch him snap at a reporter here.
Bam.org. Live now to remarks from President Trump.
With Bill Clinton, with the president of Harvard, who you know who that is, Summers, Larry Summers, whatever his name is, and all of the other people that he spent time with. Jeffrey Epstein and I had a very bad relationship for many years. But he also saw strength because I was president. So he dictated a couple of memos to himself. Give me a break. You got to find out what did he know with respect to Bill Clinton, with respect to the head of Harvard, with respect to all of those people that he knew, including J.P. Morgan Chase.
Sir,
Yeah,
if
Jennifer,
there's
go
nothing
ahead. Go ahead.
incriminating in the file, sir,
Venezuela,
why
sir.
not why are you acting as a
Quiet, McGee. Go ahead.
Quiet. We have to get to the bottom of what he knew about Bill Clinton. How about everything? Anything and everything. And then Trump always plays dumb. So what? He dictated some memos to himself? No, that's not even what we're talking about. They were emails to other people. You know what an email is, right?
I was told that case was totally over.
Mr. President, have you ruled out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell?
I haven't even thought about it. I mean, I haven't thought about it for months. Maybe I haven't thought about it at all. You're just asking me a
Why can't
question.
you rule it
But I
out?
don't talk about that. I don't rule it in or out. I don't even think about it.
Words fail. I'm telling you, my words are failing to illustrate the insanity of this. He's been asked this 5 times now. A week and a half ago, I think, was the last time. Will you pardon? Are you ruling out pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell? And again, he goes, I've never even thought of it. Shemaine Maxwell? Who's that? And we know you've thought about it because it was just brought up to you. No one's come off more guilty. No one. Then he gets asked, why are you encouraging Boebert and Mace not to vote for the release?
Jennifer, go ahead.
Well, why was your team encouraging Congresswoman Boebert and Congresswoman Mace to not pursue
Because
this?
we think it's bad to talk about it because it gets away from the subject of how well the Republicans are doing. We have the greatest economy.
He says, because we don't think it's good to talk about it. I'm serious. If you support him, what's the explanation? You try to explain to me. I'm not being mean. I'm being serious. What is all of this for? If there really was nothing damaging, he could just release. That would be it. That would be it. What could it possibly be? The patriotic blonde posted, people are posting this all over social media. What a sad end to something we all worked so hard for. I never thought it would end this way. And as people burning their Make America Great Again hats. I don't know how representative that is. His polling is down badly. But then some people like Ben Shapiro were going, people must be pushing for the release because they want to destroy Trump's presidency.
So yesterday, after the House of Representatives reopened, Representative Adelita Grajova of Arizona became the 218th and final signature on the discharge petition. She joined all the other Democrats, as well as 4 Republicans, including 2 who hate President Trump and would like to destroy his presidency. That would be Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene, as well as Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace.
What? And Ben's not one of the people who never criticizes Trump. He does. So what is this? What do you mean? That's not a relevant part of it. You think Marjorie Taylor Greene, I get that she was slighted by Trump not wanting her to run for Senate, but you think she really wants to destroy his presidency? As she's texting him saying, this could be really bad for Democrats. Lean in. Sam Stein kind of summed this up for us. If you feel like you're in a whirlwind, you are. Just to get a sense of how off-kilter our politics has become. Just today, we have an expose revealing our HHS secretary still uses psychedelics. Really? I didn't even see that. A report that the department, the deputy FBI director wasn't given a background check. A report that Michael Flynn may get a $50 million settlement. The president sticking the DOJ overtly on Democrats tied to a sex predator that he himself is tied to. The attorney general happily agreeing to his request. A report that the DHS secretary sent millions in ad contracts to a firm tied to her. A congressman alleging that Trump's wannabe assassin may have been groomed. by like a government organization, not groomed like sexually, but and we'll get to that later in the show, the whole theories around crooks. RFK Jr. allegedly smokes powerful psychedelic that gives people near-death experiences, reportedly. I don't even know.
I started doing heroin when I went to the top of my class.
Okay, Bobby, please just give me a second. That's not an important thing today. We'll get to that later. If you want to hear about that, click the join button below for the bonus show. And then you have people like Alex Jones, who never saw a conspiracy he didn't love. He loved them all, however badly
it was the deep state 100%.
Sourced, no matter how much they hurt people's lives, no matter the tragedy that was being exploited, he loves them. And he's been perpetuating, I don't know, I'm sure he has, QAnon-esque, I know he says, I'm not a QAnon guy, but like, you know, they make a lot of good points. Pedophile ring theory, the elites, the globalists, right? He's done all that for years, and now you have him smacked in the face with an actual bombshell about Trump and his friendship with Epstein, and then Trump's efforts to prevent transparency. And now Alex Jones, instead of just describing what is not even the conspiracy, but the actual elite scandal that's in front of our faces, he uses his conspiracy theorizing skills to still bend it back around to being the deep state's fault.
So Trump made a deal with the devil, and now the devil's trying to shove a pitchfork up his butt.
Well, maybe he likes that because of the Bubba emails. Well, we'll still get to that in a second.
Along with us and the rest of the country. So not good. And then they had Bongino and Patel go out there like deer in the headlights, like hostages, and say, oh, Epstein killed himself, and oh, crooks acted alone, and oh, there's no accomplices and nobody else with Epstein, and the Easter Bunny is real. And I was like, oh my gosh, what was that, 8 months ago? I said, this is a disaster. We went and had interventions. We said, we understand, this is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to unfold. You're being set up, Mr. President. No matter how painful this is for all these big Democrats, you got to let them have it because A, it's immoral to make a deal with them, and B, they're going to turn around and stab you in the back. Well, I guess the president and Bongino and Patel aren't as sophisticated as I am. They're going to try to create a MAGA civil war.
Do you hear what he's saying? You probably don't even understand what it is that the theory is because he's so strangely incoherent. So everything's a conspiracy. It always goes to the top. And when Trump single-handedly is impeding the release, now, instead of just saying that, instead of just saying it's because it's Trump, it's because it's bad for Trump, and so Trump is the one doing it, Trump, he goes, he must have made a deal with the Democrats, with the devil, and now they're sticking a pitchfork up his butt. What does he mean by that? Well, I've seen previous clips of him explaining he thinks the deep state, which is the Democrats, and, you know, the fake, anyone who's not MAGA, came to him and said, hey, these files would be really bad for us. Did you hear him say that it would really hurt Democrats? These would be really bad for us. So we will not destroy your agenda. We'll let you close the border, world peace, etc. if you'll cover up the files. That's what he's saying. That a powerful elite came to him and said, we know this is not bad for you. You were just on accident best friends with him forever. So, but it's bad for us. And we can destroy you. We can destroy you if you don't release or block the release. Which, by the way, in their worldview, pardon the term, Trump is the biggest bitch alive. They always say that. They're like, oh, he must have been influenced by this person or that person, or he had a bad cabinet, or this person this globalist got in his ear and forced him to do. Why doesn't he ever have his own responsibility for anything? And that's the theory. That it's just so bad for Democrats, even though Democrats are unanimously supporting the release. Is that really more rational than just, yeah, there's probably other people of all different political ideologies who this would be bad for. Trump is the one who both has the power and his own reasons to cover it up. Not for anyone else. I saw someone named Natalie say, conspiracy theorists, when there's a real conspiracy, say literally nothing to see here, move along. And Alex had done a story about quote unquote nothing burger on top of nothing burger on top of nothing burger. Guys, he's the conspiracy guy. He sees like a bird and goes, oh, that's not a nothing burger. That looked kind of weird. It must have been a drone. He's fallen for everything. He's perpetuated every conspiracy when there's no evidence there really is a nothing burger, and he's still seen it as very convincing. Now, you got a big whopper, and that's a nothing burger to him. Alan Dershowitz said this.
Well, let me give you an example. 10 minutes before you went on, the predecessor on your show described Jeffrey Epstein as a convicted pedophile. He pleaded guilty to one count of having sex for money with a 17-year and 10-month-old person. That's not pedophile.
Well, if you think that was defamatory, maybe you can go tell your buddy Epstein to sue the guest. Oh, wait, he can't, because he's dead, Alan. What's the relevance? First of all, he's talking about what he pleaded guilty to way earlier. You know the point they were making. He was convicted of, it's sick. What is this? Alan says that. Hey, why are people calling him a pedophile just because he had sex with children? And it wasn't just him. You remember Megyn Kelly went in this whole ramble about how, I feel like he really was more into like 15-year-olds. And should we really call that pedophilia? Because
As for Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And This person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this.
Batya's really disturbed me last time. That's a fun fact. Except it's not a fact. And what on earth is this point for? I guess it wasn't just Megyn. Alan Dershowitz. Chris, I think really what people need to talk more about is how he always gets slandered as a pedophile. Now, I guess he's taking issue with convicted but whatever.
Pedophile, this is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby. And that is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi.
Okay, so we played the clip before, but I'm just saying, what is this? Just be honest. That's it. Just let go of the partisanship. Realize that maybe this is going to make you feel weird about all your past support for Trump. That's life. Sometimes you learn new things that we kind of already knew. And you just have to suck it up and be an adult and say, this is terrible. I can't explain other than really bad explanations. But even if I don't want to say it, I can't explain his behavior. All I know is it's wrong what he's doing right now. And it's scary how mentally unwell he is. That this is how he's handling the situation. There's just no world in which I think we should spend some time, 5 to 10 minutes, on how much of a pedophile was he? Really? There's no world in which that is reasonable. Then I saw that Elon Musk said Bannon's in the Epstein files, and you have some of them going, let's talk about Bannon. It's like, sure, but also Trump. And they keep saying, why are you only obsessed with Trump? He's the one with the power. He's the one blocking it. I'm going to keep repeating it since people seem confused.
By 2019, after the media storm hit, Epstein was focused on image rehab. Within months, he would be charged with 2 serious felonies and would die, allegedly by suicide, in a New York prison. So many questions remain. Did the seemingly jocular man we heard on those tapes in 2019 take his own life months later after his legal troubles mounted? Why was a so-called journalist, Michael Wolff, advising Epstein like a hired PR guru? And why wasn't his full role disclosed in his earlier books? Why was our friend Steve Bannon there? And what does he know of the Wolff tapes? More importantly, what about Bannon's own tapes? Bannon has publicly revealed that he at one point was making a documentary about Jeffrey Epstein. It's been reported he has 15 hours of his own tapes of this guy, but that they've never been released. They haven't been. Bannon once explained that he was hoping to show that Epstein's, quote, perversions and depravity toward young women were part of a life that was systematically supported, encouraged, and rewarded by a global establishment that dined off of his money and his influence.
It's crazy because some of that, can be absolutely the case. And it's this weird car wreck that's happening between their support for Trump and their powerful elites' worldview about what the powerful elites are up to, how connected Epstein was, and then and it's just like those two things are clashing in a way they can't figure out. That maybe the guy who's been rich his whole life, maybe the guy who was a fraudster in his business practices, who has had dozens of sexual misconduct and abuse allegations leveled against him, who was best friends with Epstein for quite a while, and then became the president of the United States as a billionaire, and thinks that most regular people don't use the word groceries. Maybe that guy is the epitome of the powerful elite worldview that you think you believe in, and not its agent of destruction. Maybe he is the epitome of that. And that's what they just can't contend with. And even before all this, people have been saying that for so long. MAGA, you want an outside warrior to come in, understandably, and rip down a system that has wronged average people in many ways, even just economically. But then to do so, you selected a guy who himself is an elite and whose whole track record in governance has been benefiting elites. And now you have, I hope, a wake-up call with Epstein and kind of that splicing of their worldview. Hopefully they'll look around at all the other ways that Trump is the embodiment of the very type of figure that they intuitively feel has wronged them, and that's true, but that it's him. There's others, but it's him. Now, you might be wondering, I sent out, maybe I can pull this up. Some people called it a banger tweet. People really seemed to like it, but I'm going to do the Benny Johnson. Look at this, 63,000 retweet. Look at that, okay. 1 million views. Look at this right here. You see? Okay. And I said, I take like 2 hours off from Twitter, and all of a sudden Trump gave Bill Clinton a BJ? Blowjob. What? And that came from an email in the Jeffrey Epstein files, as Newsweek is reporting. Now, this is, mostly people are being silly, but it is a real email that references U.S. President Donald Trump blowing Bubba. And it was a message from Mark Epstein, Epstein's brother, to Jeffrey Epstein saying, ask Putin if he has a video of Trump blowing Bubba. And I guess Bubba is a nickname for Bill Clinton, and blowing in common speak can be a term to describe a BJ, right? Would that be fair to say? But apparently Mark Epstein said, no, it wasn't about him. And it could have been a joke too, obviously. But it's led to some, weird videos. Things like this. Y'all remember that at the rally? Just strange internet silliness. I put it at the end of the segment because it's not important. It's not relevant like the justice that people are advocating for. But it is silly, nevertheless. You can see photos like this okay, so ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba, was the message from Mark Epstein. Who's to say? Who knows? But this caused someone to post this Alex Jones clip.
There's no video of President Trump sucking a ding-dong. And so what if there was? True. That's a lot better than World War III, Owen.
Pick it. Your choice. He blew Bubba, World War III. Your choice.
I never sucked any ding-dongs. But I'll tell you, if they were going to blackmail me to start World War III about one, I'd say, hey, I sucked a golf ball through a freaking garden.
I think he's about to say garden hose. And I would like someone to explain to me, whoever has used the phrase, sucking a golf ball through a garden hose.
I never sucked any ding-dongs.
Is this something y'all are familiar with? Golf ball through a garden hose. That's just... I think you've been working on that imagery a little too long, Alex. Such a weird... I never sucked any ding-dongs. I know we have that on the soundboard. Just give it... Let's see.
I never sucked any ding-dongs.
And I don't even understand his point. I guess I do. He's saying, I never did, but I would proudly let people know if I did, if it meant preventing World War III. Hey, straw man much? What kind of aimless argument? I feel like you just wanted to say I didn't suck any ding-dongs. And if you did, that would be fine. No one calls them ding-dongs, but okay. Imagine him on like a Grindr being like, so we're gonna suck each other ding-dongs or what? You're gonna let me suck golf ball through a garden hose or what? But who's saying that's the options? It's ding-dong or World War III. Now he means if that were blackmail on Trump. That's not important. If it were Bill Clinton, that would be the best thing in the Epstein files about Trump. I think you get my point, right? You know what I'm saying? Like if it were a consensual thing between him and Bill, which again, this is totally, this is probably just a joke, but it was a real email, but probably we're misunderstanding. It's not that. I'm not saying it's that at all. I'm just saying that I would not have any problem with that other than Hillary getting cheated on, but like that, what's new, you know? So then people were playing compilations of every time Trump is called a guy handsome and stuff. It's getting out of control, okay? But I think the focus should not be on that and instead everything else that we talked about.